Okay? So as they are deploying, the NCC will be there to monitor the level of deployment and give subsidy. So it's not like they are the ones who will be funding this, gigantic project, from their coffers alone. It is because of the realization of this important project for the country, for business.
So this is going to be a joint venture?
It is a PPP, if you like, exercise. The NCC will be involved. The licenses will spend some of their investments with the guarantee that they will recoup returns, on their investments. So we are all poised to ensure this deployment takes place at a speed that will ensure we attain the 30% penetration.
Now, you're coming up with the guidelines for commercial satellite operations now. What impact do you think this will be having on the telecom sector?
If you want to have ubiquitous services, telecommunication services across the country, there are terrains in the country where you do not have fiber networks, and where fiber networks may not reach, anytime soon. That is where difficult terrains, just like in other parts of the world, that is where satellite services come in to fill this important gap, where we have deficit of fiber networks. Now the whole thing is which one, in terms of provision of services, outweighs the other in terms of advantages and affordability, to the consumer. Satellite services are normally costly, whereas terrestrial services where you deploy fiber networks, are cheaper. But in a situation where you have a target to reach, you are supposed to leverage on all the possibilities at your disposal.
Now, looking at Nigeria's road to digital transformation now, is Nigeria really ready for this digital transformation? Is there the political will to drive this agenda?
I think, Benga, when you talk about digital transformation, transformation is a process. You need to know what are the elements of the digital transformation ecosystem first, so that you take each one of them. You cannot neglect any one of them because they are interdependent elements of the ecosystem, the digital transformation ecosystem. And I would like to briefly list them out for you without taking too much of your time. One, you need to have the communications infrastructure. This we have spoken at length, during this interview. You need to have the human capital. You need to train Nigerians, to appreciate, what digital services can do. What are the possibilities? What can we do with digital services that we were not able to do?
Now, in terms of...
Okay, that will make it two. So I still have three.
Okay.
Okay? Then you need to look at the enabling institutions and policies. That's three. Then you need to look at the ICT applications and, enabling policies again. Okay? Institutional change, sorry. ICT applications and institutional change. And then finally, not the last, you also need to look at the political will that we have been talking about. What can we possibly do to ensure each of these interdependent elements of the digital transformation ecosystem is addressed holistically in a defined strategic plan?
Now, let's look at the telecommunications scape now, the telecommunications landscape. Now, we have 146 million active subscribers now. Do we have the mandate, do we have the resources to cater for the demands of these 146 million subscribers in terms of provision of quality network service for these consumers?
This is to some extent anecdotal. The consumer experience we respect a lot, and we take into consideration to ensure we improve. We bring to bear regulatory actions that will lead to improvement in quality of service. The NCC has the capacity to monitor quality of service in any part of the country. And we do this on regular basis and compare this with stipulated standards for quality of service. We have what we call the key performance indicators that characterize quality of service. Quality of service may not be at the right standard you know, in virtually all corners of the country. But the NCC is committed to ensuring that the standard is met. And we can even, you know, resort to fining telecommunication companies where, after, you know, drawing the attention of the telcos, quality of service, you know, has refused, you know, to improve.
Because the complaint still remains that the quality of network service has been relatively poor.
If consumers are subjected to services they did not solicit for, okay, and they're being, you know, surcharged for such services, the NCC can come in to provide the protection that is necessary. And this is consistent with an item of our 8-point agenda. Protecting and empowering the consumer is at the front burner of our progressive, you know, regulation. We have equally sensitized the consumer about what they can do to ensure they do not even receive unsolicited text messages. They have the power, you know, in their hands, you know, to say, stop, we don't want these text messages coming. And if the text messages keep coming after activating the stop, you know, facility, then a clear case has been established for violation of the consumer's rights, you know, by the telcos. And consumers can indeed insist for, you know, payment of some kind of, money they were surcharged for services, you know, they did not subscribe. In addition to the do not disturb facility, okay, or code 2442, which consumers, yes, do not disturb, which consumers can use in order to stop receiving unsolicited text messages. We have a toll-free number, and the number is 622, and this is a number they can use to lay their complaints, you know, and it's toll-free. They can access this number, lodge their complaints from wherever they are in this country. And once they do this, you know, they should rest assured that the NCC will act on their complaints and ensure, you know, they get, you know, justice.